Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lautaro.
Welcome to the Rangers journey.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday night's edition. Yep, it's Wednesday, it's not Thursday, it's not game day yet. It's Wednesday night, and we have got a special Q&A for you tonight. And as always, maybe a bit of a different night, gents, but as always, we've got a fantastic panel. We have got Craig. How are you? You doing well, mate?
Hello. Yeah, very good, Chris. Yeah, happy to be back on. I think it's my first of the year this year, so looking forward to it.
Excellent. Great stuff. Great to have you with us, Craig. Alan, how are you doing, my friend? Are you doing well?
Yeah, doing good, mate. How's life yourself? All right?
Spot on, mate. Spot on. Loving the fact that we've got another game tomorrow. The games are coming thick and fast, so yeah, it's all good. Great to have you with us, Alan. Mitch, you always turn up a wee bit fast but late. You just got here in time. How are you doing, my friend?
All the better for seeing you boys, and as you say, we have a game to look forward to tomorrow night, and it's not a dead rubber as everybody thinks. There's points mean prizes come the end of the season. You know, there's a gap there that we've got to be very mindful of, you know, come the end of the season should things go our way. So, you know, another night under the stars at Ibrox.
Yeah, absolutely, Mitch, and it's going to be a big one tomorrow night. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Before we get started, folks, just a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you to everyone that's joining and coming in. It's great to have you with us. Tonight is our Q&A. So this is your night. This is your night to get the questions into Craig, Alan, and Mitch, and the guys will do their best to answer any questions that you have got. Just a big shout out to our pod sponsors, Bluebell Bars, Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. If you're over in sunny Spain, if you're lucky enough to be over in sunny Spain and not here in this weather, jump in and see the guys at the Bluebells because they will take absolutely really good care of you. Family friendly bar, show every Rangers game. They're the only bar over there as well, which is even better. Kenny and all of staff over there will take really good care of you. And if you mention you're from the Rangers Journal, you never know, you might get a little bit of discount or so on your next drink. So if you can as well, when you're over there, take some pictures, share it on our socials, let everyone know where you are because it's great to support those who are supporting the pod. Big shout out to everyone that's coming in. Great to see the comments coming in already. Guys, I don't know what you, I just love doing a Q&A. I think the Q&As are tremendous. They really are. And it's great to be on them. And it's such a pleasure to be on these ones. So looking forward to a really good conversation. As you will see in the topic, folks, we have got the question, who should be our WOW signing? So that is the question that we will put to our panel members over the course of the night. Question to you guys out there watching, who should be our WOW signing? If you could have a player that you wanted to bring into Rangers and you think he would make a massive difference, who would that be? Obviously, let's not go, Mitch, with the normal Ronaldos and Messis and stuff like that. Let's not be that type of person. And please don't go with James Tavernier as well, because I think we've done that one today. So let's try something else and see where we're at. But to everyone out there watching, if you've got anything you want to put across on that, please do so, and we will cover that off. We'll also try and cover off in the 50 minutes that we're going to be here tonight, guys. I think if we go past 50 minutes, I think I'm going to get the sack. So Craig, Alan, and Mitch, please keep me to 50 minutes if you can.
55.
Go for 55. Like or 56. We could go for 56, Mitch.
Yeah, 56.
Absolutely. We'll try and cover off a couple of things. So the game tomorrow, we'll look forward to that. We'll talk a little bit about the press conference today, and we will potentially maybe look at touching on potentially new players coming in. I know Danny Rowe in his press conference mentioned that today, so we'll see where we go with that. Craig, I want to come to yourself first, mate. How have you felt this week leading up? I know it's coming into a big game on Sunday. We've got two massive games in the Scottish Premiership happening Sunday. Mitch touched on it earlier on about the game tomorrow night and people thinking it's a dead rubber. I think we've seen, people would probably see on X and things over the last couple of days, based on the coefficient and the stats, tomorrow night isn't really a dead rubber, but does Rangers see this as a distraction, or is this a good distraction to have at this time of the season, do you think?
I think this is the first probably European game most of us have seen this year as being not a distraction, as being another opportunity to keep this. I think the best way to call it is a feel-good run going. The team seem galvanised. We've strengthened. Obviously, we don't know what these guys are going to be like, but they come with big reputations. The manager seems to have it right. And when we played Annan on Friday night in a game that maybe a year ago we might have all thought, oh God, we maybe scraped through 1-0, 2-0. It was an extremely comfortable 5-0 win with a lot of the players that a lot of the fans had given up with. So it seems to me that the manager's getting a tune even out of the players that maybe don't have futures or couldn't do it. So let's go out there and enjoy it again tomorrow night. I think it's a game that the club can win. I don't want a winless European season. I doubt anybody does. And so, I'd like to think that even though we may rest some players or he may blend it a little bit, I think we'll have a team out there to win. And I think we'll have a team that can win now. Whereas maybe 3 months ago, would we have said the same thing? Probably not.
Absolutely, Craig. Alan, just following on from what Craig just mentioned there, obviously tomorrow night is a chance for Rangers to try and get back to how Ibrox used to be in a European night in terms of the fans jumping, the place buzzing and making Ibrox a fortress again. I think we kind of lost that at the start of the season. I think we maybe lost Alan if he's just disappeared from my screen.
Run away.
Yes, I think he has. Just in case. Mitch, I'll come to you with this one then in Alan's absence. But same point I'm making is we lost the fortress of Ibrox under Russell Martin. We've not had the greatest results as of yet in Europe. Is tomorrow night a chance to redeem that and get back to winning ways in Europe again, do you think?
I think so. And I think there's a chance there now that there's a chance to right some wrongs of the earlier parts of the Europe. Now, none of us are stupid enough to, come out with a suggestion like, there's the most glimmering hope of qualifying because, that's been shot up in flames quite quickly. But
not according to our Doug, it's not. Apparently, according to our Doug, mathematically we can still qualify with to get positive in this one.
I don't know if I pretend Doug didn't put that in there, though. I'm choosing to ignore that. I call it willful ignorance and living in the world of the real world. But I think for me though, there's pride is at play, and also now with the players who are moving into the club and potentially players who will potentially move on before the end of January as well, or February the 2nd. We've got a kind of weird window this year. I think there's jerseys and there's jerseys up for grabs at the moment. Nobody's shut safe, and I think it is up to the 11 and however many subs decide, Danny decides to go with tomorrow. It's up to those players to show on the big nights and the big lights under Ibrox, those that haven't done it before, get it done. Because if you can't do it tomorrow, then I'm afraid to say, come the end of the summer, you can't be here.
Yeah, really agree, Mitch. I think this is a big chance, especially against Ludogorets. Look, Craig and I had to look up who Ludogorets were from before we come on here. Had no idea. Bulgaria apparently is where they're from. Surely this is an opportunity for Rangers to really go in there and really put a stamp on it and make a difference. Alan, can you hear us okay? You all right?
I can hear you okay. Aye, sorry about that. Technical issues there.
All good. So Alan, just to follow on from what we're saying with Craig and Mitch there, obviously tomorrow night's a big night for Rangers. It's obviously none of the new players will be playing. I think Danny Rule mentioned that today. Skov, Olsen won't be playing. Chugawani won't be playing. We don't think John Suter's going to be in the team. I think John Suter's out for tomorrow, but Dujon Sterling could be back in as well. So there's obviously a difference there. But is this a game that Rangers really... No, probably I'll ask a different question. Should Rangers be prioritising this game tomorrow night, or should they be having their full focus on Sunday, given the magnitude of the next few league games?
I think prioritising is a bit of a difficult word with it, because as the guys have said before, like there's coefficient points to play for. There's the whole part of trying to keep like this good run going, a bit of confidence, and obviously we don't want to then go out tomorrow and then maybe suffer a defeat, and then obviously knocks the guys' confidence, things like that, especially with the fact that we can't really change it up. We can't bring in like the B team or whatever and stuff like that and try and play them. So I think it's still quite an important game, the fact that with these coefficient points, if we can then go on and win the league and then the Champions League next year, it could be massive financially for the club and everything. I mean, I would still be looking at maybe contradicting myself, but depending how it's going, maybe 60 minutes into the game, looking at trying to maybe make some changes and rest some of the key players going into Sunday, because Sunday is massive. But I would still be going all out tomorrow to try and get the 3 points and try and bring the feel-good Thursday night Rangers back.
Absolutely. And that's what we're all hoping for, Thursday night Rangers, because we're well renowned for it. It's just this season it's just not been there. So, yeah, let's hope we can get a good victory tomorrow. I won't press you too much, gents, on it, but I will be coming to you before the end of tonight's show for pre-match predictions and scoreline. So get your thinking caps on for that, and maybe even throw in a wee prediction on goal scorers as well if you can. We'll look at that in a wee minute. Mitch, what have you got for us? What are you going to say, Mitch?
I was just having a thinking out loud moment, and I know that's normally a terrifying thought for us all, but I put a bit of practicality. See, with the new players that have come into the squad, it does give Danny Rowe that bit more wiggle room than he had this time 2 weeks ago, because the new players can't play tomorrow. So it doesn't necessarily matter if, let's say, Raskin's feeling a bit tired or whatever comes Sunday and needs a rest, because Chukwueze can then come in. Or if Mikey Moore or Gisaba have ran the legs off each other on Sunday, on Thursday, there's a good chance then on Sunday, Skivolson's ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, just before we jump into who should be our WOW signings, I'm going to come to yourself first on that one, Craig. But before I do that, Stevie's just put on Rangers should be able to win every single game of football we play. He'd played Tab at centre-back before Jiga. Do you agree on that one?
He's capable of playing there, isn't he? And we know that. I think Jiga possibly needs minutes, though, as well. Now, we don't know what he's been doing on the training pitch, what the manager's been doing with him, what he's been hammering into him in a very, very nice way, I'm sure, because he's a very suave, debonair chap, basically. But I think we've kind of given up on Jiga a little bit as a fan base. Maybe the manager hasn't. And I think if the manager hasn't and throws him in there, there's probably a reason for that. And I think we've got to get behind it and back it. But I can see why as well. You'd be looking at saying, well, put Tav in there because he's not being skinned by a winger, is he? And it might actually suit his game a little bit more to play in there for 1 or 2 games, especially at home, where we'll have a bit more of the ball and we'll be up in their half quite a bit of it.
Absolutely. Okay, folks, thank you for all the comments that are coming in already. I'm trying to keep up with everyone's comments that are coming in, and they're all fantastic, so keep them going, and we'll get them on the screen, and we'll get any questions you're asking over to the guys, just like we did on that one. So, we said at the start of the show, who should be our WOW signing? Craig, I'm going to come to yourself first on this one. Have you had the chance to think about who you would like to see and what your reason for that would be, please?
Yeah, well, as you know, we've got the WhatsApp groups for the Potters and stuff, and I think I went a little bit early in terms of saying that I do have a preference, actually, and I'll explain why and explain. It's a player that I've seen a lot of, and it's a player who may not have the wow factor, but as you said at the start, Chris, we're not talking about the Messis and Ronaldos. We're talking about players who can reasonably come here and make a massive difference. And so the guy that I would be saying, because it makes sense logistically for the owners as well as all of the other stuff, would be Joel Perreault. And maybe a lot of people...
I was going to say.
Maybe. I've seen a lot more of him than you have, Mitch, even though that won't stop you knowing more than I do. But I would... I'd say, for me, the one thing this team is missing is a real nasty finisher, a predator, a guy who knows where the net is, and if he's given that chance, I would say of the players that the people on here would be familiar with, who I would liken Perreault to more than anybody, would be a sort of peak Chris Boyd, who, when he had that chance, was capable of putting it bottom left, bottom right, top of the net, whatever, and he would get that. Now, a lot of that depends as well on the service that he'd get. But again, I think the time's right for that, because we've got a manager who looks at everything holistically and can probably put the players in there to make sure that he gets it, and they all like different stuff. Some like a ball over the top, some like a ball pulled back, some like one slipped in behind the defenders or whatever. But it's for these guys to work it out. Now,
Mhm.
the one caveat I have with Perot is that he had an up and down time at Leeds United. I've watched the guy play a hell of a lot. I've seen him score a hell of a lot of goals, and I've seen him finish brilliantly on a lot of occasions. But when he first came, he came with a massive price tag. He was seen as the finished article, and he was seen as the guy that was going to solve the problem I'm talking about at Rangers for Leeds United. His first season wasn't great. He was seen as a bit ponderous, slow. He's not a sort of guy who's going to defend from the front. And I think the reason why he's not getting the game at Leeds United now is because Calvert-Lewin does all that stuff in the all-round game. But when he gets the ball in the right areas, he's fine. Now, he was kind of written off in the season before last because of the season he'd had before. Daniel Farke thought about it and gave him some legs in Brendan Aronson, who's a player who, once again, splits support, and a lot of people don't like him. But he runs about, it's not my comparison, but it is very, very opposite, is that he runs around like a coked-up bee in a jar up front for Leeds United. He became the legs for Perot, and Perot was then able to express himself and do it right. So if you've got potentially a Mikey Moore or someone in there who's literally just buzzing around and doing the stuff behind him, he could score a lot of goals. I get it that people are feeling a bit burned by championship players, but this guy's a deluxe championship player, like, one of the best that it has to offer. And we talked about this with Joe Rothwell. And what I would say about Joe Rothwell is he came with no expectation and exceeded them. Perot came with massive expectation and lived up to them. And he's still doing a good job in the Premiership, but his minutes are limited. So for me, that would be it. And also it makes sense for the owners to start swapping people around, because you never know. It might really annoy some people as well.
Especially on the other side of the city, if they've
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? That's the definite thing. I think it's a great shout. I've put a couple of comments up already from some people. One had already said that they think that Joe Perot would sign on deadline day. I think that would be a great signing for us. If he was, my view on this would be, if he is going to sign, you probably want him in before deadline day, because he could bring a lot to us in the games leading up to that. A few others are saying different types of players. So Paul has popped on here to say he would like to see Xavi, I don't even know how you say that one. It's Xavi as centre back. Next, Van Dijk fits role to a T. So I don't know much about that. Xavi, are we saying no to that, Mitch? Is that what we're saying? Are we saying
he's away to Austria?
Oh, is he? Right, there you go. So
I've just had to burst Paul's bubble there, so I've had to send him a cuddle.
Perfect. There we go. He's away. He's gone. Now the other one I've heard as well, Mitch, Doug is saying surely use while signing is a Dessler's return. Now we'll come back to that if that is the case, because that's the one it's on there. And we've also had someone saying they don't really want any former players back in the window. We need fresh faces. Big Shug has said that we need fresh faces. Again, I would agree with that.
Yeah, there
was a couple of ones talking about. I'm hoping I'm not pulling any names away from you guys here. There was a couple of ones talking about Abdallah Sima. I know we only had him here for 6 months. Somebody was talking about bringing Abdallah Sima back. I'm the same as you with that one, Mitch. I'm not sure on that one. Again, I think this for me is a new start for Rangers under Danny Rule, and I think if we can move forward, we shouldn't be looking back at players that have been here. Even as much as the likes of Seaman, the likes of Czerny, I think we're really good for Rangers. I just think we've now moved on to something different. I think that's where we're going to end up going forward. So, Alan, just on that one, I won't come to yourself at the moment, Alan, in terms of looking for your well saying we'll come back to that and we'll do the same with Mitch. But just some of those names and some of the things you're hearing, does any of those names surprise you what the guys are putting into the comments? Or would you say that that's what we should be expecting, that type of player? Somebody's just put in, obviously, Bowie's been strongly linked across the other side of the city. Would like to see us go for him, flex our muscles financially. Probably I'll ask this question, Alan, is Bowie maybe just too expensive for the talent that he is at the moment, do you think?
If the asking price that Hibs are asking for is £6 million, I wouldn't be entertaining that at this stage. Mm-hmm. I think he's got potential, but I think he's a bit kind of rough around the edges. For what I've seen, I don't think he's an out-and-out goal scorer. And if we're going to another SPL team and paying £6 million for a striker, we're really needing someone that's going to be hitting the ground running for goals. So that's a hell of an outlay to another SPL club. I know he says you don't want to give me names, but just for example, I would rather us then look at a Masawinisi, for example, for Motherwell, that we wouldn't have to pay anywhere near 6 million to get him, and he's battering in the goals and got a better goal scoring return than Bowie has this year. I would rather we look at someone like him rather than Bowie. As much as I like Rangers having like a Scottish core and that in an ideal world, but I think there's possibly better options out there for that value than £6 million for Bowie.
Yeah, totally agree. Craig, were you going to say something there, mate?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the owners of the club now are very big into profiling players and do a hell of a lot of backgrounds on various people and stuff. And so, although Bowie may look overpriced at 6 million, if they pay 6 million for him, that's because they think they're getting value out of that. I think the days of a board and people who take a punt are gone. You know, there'll be meetings going on. The manager will be sat there. He's probably telling them who he wants. They'll have a list of players. And when it all comes together, then they'll pay what they think it's worth. And that might surprise us sometimes, but it also might surprise us that they get somebody a lot cheaper than we think they're worth as well. So it sort of works both ways. But I do think there'll be a hell of a lot of work going on behind the scenes about these players, what they can do for us, how they fit the system, and what the sort of players they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch, Masawinisi is a name that is hitting the headlines for all different manners of reasons in terms of goal scoring, his assists, African Cup of Nations, and all that sort of thing. It's well documented, I think, that there's a lot of people interested in Masawinisi, potentially Rangers and other teams across the city. Masawinisi, 15 goals and 2 assists so far, is what Paul's saying he's got. Is he a player that, maybe not your wow signing, but is he a player that Rangers should be looking at in this window, do you think?
I think as well, when you look at him, he's a player when you look at transfer models. You say, buying a player like him right now, who this isn't just a purple patch with him either. Like, this has been going on for 18 months, and that 18 months, pardon me, isn't a purple patch. 18 months as a player who's started to mature and find himself. He's not quite reached the limit of his potential yet, in my opinion, when you watch him in the eye test, you know. But he's got that confidence ripping right out of him. And I think, you know, when you've got a player that's playing in the league already, he's scored against just about everybody in their granny. You know, I think like every signing, as long as the money was right, I don't have an issue with it at all. And I think when you preface that as well, you know, boys like Mikey Moore, he's, for all intents and purposes, you know, there's no agreement to bring him back next year. So he's going back down the road in the summer. You know, and
unless something major changes, Mitch, on that. Unless something changes in the background that we don't know about. But yeah, you're right. He's absolutely on his way back down there.
But I think the thing with that as well is, though, even if he was to come back up next summer, I think it'll be much later in the window. Because I think it'll be Thomas Frank will want to see him, you know, for a full pre-season. Well, let's assume it's Thomas Frank. He'll want to see him for a full pre-season down there. You know, and he'll want to see, you know, what have you learned while you've been here? Can I potentially use you right now? Because let's not forget, in the summer, Spurs were shouting £70 million to buy Mikey Moore. Now, I'm not being funny, but, you know, £70 million for a boy that's not got a hair in his face, you know, I don't quite know how we get to that sort of value as a children, but, you know, that's a different issue. I think with the boy from Motherwell, I'm not going to butcher his surname because I know I can't say it, but I think, you know, as always with any signing, some signings are solid, not sexy. You know, and I think he definitely falls into that category of, you could buy him for, say, 3.5 million, and I can visualise a world where he could potentially go for over 5 in a couple of years' time if he keeps that form up with the European experience under his belt. That's success on a return of investment on a transfer model where we are selling him for a good couple of quid more than what we've bought him for.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Masawinisi is a player that would instantly improve us. He can play in that couple of positions off the wing and through the middle as well. So, and he scored lots of goals this season. So, if you're spending like 10 million on Chermiti, who's given you good returns so far, but not the greatest, then Maswanisi for me is a no-brainer. I would take him in a heartbeat. Alan, let's come to you, mate. Just obviously you heard Craig's signing, which is Joe. How do we say his surname? I can't.
Perot.
Perot. There you go, Perot. Right.
Yeah.
First question, really, Alan, is how does that sound? Would that be a signing you'd be excited about? And then obviously the second question is who would be your WoW signing and why, please, mate?
Well, he was the one I was actually going to pick as my WoW signing, but so Craig got in there first. I like looking at his record. He's a good goal scorer. Granted, I probably haven't seen as much of him as what Craig has, but his goal scoring record speaks for himself, especially in the Championship, which we all know is a pretty competitive league. And it's not just a one-off. He's done it in several seasons. Done it for Swansea even before Leeds. And I think a striker is something that we need. We still need a goal scorer as much as Chermiti's kind of turned the corner in performances and things, and obviously the two at Parkhead and stuff. But I still don't see Chermiti as being a guy that's going to get his 10, 15 goals between now and the end of the season. And that could be the difference maker. So I would like to see him come in. But if I was to pick another WoW signing, I like I was really intrigued and liked the early rumours about Dan Neil. I thought that would be a good bit of business if we could get that over the line, especially if you're thinking the World Cup coming up, possibly if Raskin has a right good World Cup, it could be the time you maybe cash in on him with people coming. And the fact that Dan Neil was, I believe he was the captain last year, getting them promoted and things, he's obviously got a bit about him. He's not had much game time this year, but someone like that with a bit of experience that's been there, done it, and obviously won things, I would quite like that. But
yeah,
the WoW signing would be Joe Perot, especially the fact that the interest for the other side of the city and how that was thrown out. If we could just then bring him in like that, I think it would cause a bit of kind of waves, shall we say. It'd be interesting for the reaction.
It's the bragging rights, isn't it, Alan?
Exactly. It's just for the way the 49ers kind of shut them down, or supposedly anyway, shut them down right away when they went sniffing. If we were just to go in and all of a sudden the deal's done, I think it would just add to this transfer window that they're having at the moment.
Absolutely.
I think, see, when it comes to Dan Neil as well, it's worth noting as well, the only reason he's not getting a game regularly for Sunderland is they brought in Geraint Xhaka. You know, that's literally the only reason they're not getting in the team. It's not like he's been dropped for, you know, an academy prospect or somebody that they bought out the Championship. You know, it's former Arsenal player who's seen it all, done it all, lived it all. Geraint Xhaka, you know, it's, you know, that's literally the only thing keeping him out the team.
And has been outstanding for them this season as well. So it's not as if he's just there in name alone. Like, he's been playing brilliant for them.
Dan Neil is very highly regarded across the across, I would say, the Championship anyway. And he's very well liked by a lot of clubs. There are a lot of clubs interested in him over the close season as well. So yeah, I think it's a really good shout.
I'll put it across to any one of you that wants to jump in this one. Dan Neil, right? And we know that's one that Rangers are looking at, and it's got potential. I'm looking at his stats so far this season: 2 games in the league, 1 in the League Cup, so 3 appearances in total. Would that be a worry if Dan Neil was to come in? Would he be able to really hit the ground running for the second half of the season? Mitch, you're nodding and saying yes, that would be.
He can, mate. I watched him playing the League Cup the other day there. You know, he came out, the boy played, I think, more or less the full 90 minutes. Barely a bit of sweat on him. I get that he's got the aerodynamics up top to keep the drip off him, but, you know, I will say, mate, on the eye test, he played at 100 mile an hour. He was fit as a fiddle, and as I say, you can tell he's the sort of player that if a door creaks open in that Sunderland team, I think he's also a player with a huge chip in his shoulder to say, let me show you what you're missing.
Yeah. There's a point
of 23. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good, Craig. I think it's a question, and the reason why I wanted to do this is because for me, and it's a good point, Alan, you make the Dan Neil one. I was hoping someone was going to come up with that name tonight because it was one I did want to chat about. But again, Alan's asking the question. Alan Austin on the chat is asking the question. Does Dan Neil make me think, wow, right? That for me is, I don't know enough about the guy in order to think, is he a wild player, is he not? And that's why I just wanted to try and explore it a little bit tonight to see if that is. So obviously Alan thinks it. Mitch, you're thinking it as well. Craig, I think you're on board with that one as a potential it could be good. So
Yeah.
there must be something to this, boy. There must be something there, I think.
Oh,
I'm not gonna
there
lie, Matt, I
definitely
felt like
is.
a-
But the wow factor, just, well, you know, we got to be realistic about this because we signed Aaron Ramsey a few years ago. That was a wow signing.
Yeah.
That didn't really work out that well because we'll have to get somebody who's damaged, who's a household name, because you know it's a January window and all that. So
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you could start looking about the Premiership and players that aren't in squads at the moment. You're looking at guys like James Ward-Prowse, Raheem Sterling, and all that. The guys that aren't getting anywhere near. Are they going to come up with Scotland? I mean, as Craig just said there, Aaron Ramsey's the perfect example. That came with a big wow, and look how that turned out. But you look at Dan Neil, the pedigree, he's still a young age as well, that we could then sell back to England as well. It's
I'll be honest, mate. The Aaron Ramsey signing was very old management, the old owners. It was a very old owner signing. Aaron Ramsey was a clapped out heap of drunk by the time he arrived here. His body was falling apart. But a lot of people got giddy carried away because he was Aaron Ramsey. You know, people go, you know, it was that old mentality, I think, under the old owners of we can fix him. And I'm sorry, but you can't fix bones and tissue that are stuck together. You know, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I will say is at least his dog's all right.
18 Glasgow Rangers 72 says Ethan Pinnock at centre back. So Ethan Pinnock, Brentford, if my memory serves me right at the moment. 191 appearances, 11 goals, 6'4" centre back, and he is 32. Is that maybe? I'll put this out there to anyone who wants to jump in. Is this maybe one that you would say is going to give you that experience, or is that one that's maybe too over the line that Rangers would want to go to?
Are you going to jump in, Craig, or do you want me to jump in?
yeah, I can jump in. It's, for me, I don't think he's too old at all. I think he's been performing with some distinction in the Premiership, so that is to his credit. And we probably need a few old heads in there as well. You know, I heard that, which I kept thinking Damien Duff, but what you call him, that guy from Sheffield Wednesday who supports other teams in Glasgow, was talking about coming to join Danny Roll and stuff. So he's obviously got an eye on getting an older player in there, because we're still quite an inexperienced team. What's that?
Was that the Barry Bannon one that the rumour was going about?
Barry Bannon. His name escaped me. I used to play for Leeds United for a time and stuff as well, but it just somehow it went. Yeah, but yeah.
Totally. It's a good shout. It's a good shout. It's another name there. One that's come up that I really like, and again, anyone who's want to take this one, Paddy McNair is a name that it's always been really linked and thereabouts with Rangers. Mitch is saying no. Alan, what are you giving? You giving a thumbs up to that one? Would you say yes or no to that? What's your thoughts? Because
no for me. I think is it past been and gone? I think. But I put him in the same category as your Ollie McBurnies and all that. It's no for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Actually, I'm a Northern Ireland campaign card holder, so 3 years ago, yes, and he'd have bitten your hand off to come here because I think he'd love to play for the club, but I just think he's probably past his best. I think Mitch and Alan have got that one spot on.
Absolutely. Steve is saying he's phoning a therapist if we keep mentioning Ramsey, so let's not keep mentioning Aaron Ramsey.
Very least I deserve to give to Stevie, to be honest with you, after the cheek I've put up with him for this week.
Exactly. So Doug has very rightly responded to that, as you can see. So that is very apt response from Doug. I like that one. That's a really good one for the Aaron Ramsey one. couple of other names I'll throw out there. Connor Cody. People thought Connor Cody, Gordon Talon, had the wow factor in the summer. I think Connor Cody's been absolutely found out through Wrexham. I think we absolutely won a watch by not getting that one, in my opinion. I think that would have been a disastrous one for us there.
See, speaking of Connor Cody, and again, don't worry, I'm not about nobody needs to phone, the white coats. I promise I'm not going to come out with anything mental here. Ethan Pinnock is what people thought in the summer Connor Cody was going to be. Except from Ethan Pinnock's actually interested in being a footballer and not being a sports personality.
Yeah. I agree. The other one, somebody's put on 18 Glasgow Rangers 72 says Ashley Barnes. How much? So you must know what that's about, Mitch.
I'm just going to tell Gordy right now, Gordy, your invitation to the Easter cookout has just been put in the bin for that suggestion.
Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And then the other one I would say, John Adam was saying the way we play, we need athletic, fast centre halves, and I absolutely couldn't agree more, John. I think we do need athletic, fast centre halves. I think one thing I would say, guys, would be John Souttar. I thought has come back into the team and done relatively okay. He looks a lot thinner than what he was. He's managed to cut out some of the mistakes. I think the challenge for me is we definitely do need centre halves because Giga I don't think has it. Fernandez is still raw as much as he's came on to a good game and scoring some goals. Souttar's not going to be long lasting, I don't think, at Rangers. And Cornelius, we don't know where he's at. We've not seen enough of him to say whether he's good or not. So I think he's absolutely spot on. I think Alan's saying around that we need to have that. Need to have a new signing from a centre half point of view because if we don't, we should be. I think we'll be in trouble.
See on the John Souttar point, I see obviously he's apparently out injured again now. Rumours floating about that it's a week, 2 weeks. But he's also just back from being out for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, give or take. There has to come a point where I get that John. I like John Souttar as a player. I genuinely like him. I think he's one of these great. I call him a hurricane door defender. When somebody breaches the line, he's in there. He'll sweep it up. He'll sweep up the mess. Sometimes it's a mess he's caused, but again, if he was perfect, he wouldn't be playing for Rangers. That's the cold hard light of day on it.
Absolutely.
But there needs to be a serious conversation that's had about our centre backs. At the moment this season, the only centre back that we have had this season that has not missed any time has been Manny Fernandez. And in fact, I take that back because he missed 6 weeks, obviously, with the injury.
Start the season,
We wonder if he was still here at one stage.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's obviously down to the fact that, Bertie Oates never told us anything, So I think when you look at that, we can't have... Manny's obviously put that to the side, which is great to see. But John Souttar, this is a recurring theme every 18 months to 2 years where something breaks down. And normally when one thing breaks down, it starts to be little bits break down beside it. And he misses 2 games here, 3 games here. Before you know it, you tot it up at the end of the season and he's missed 15, 16 games over the course of a season, which is nearly a third of a campaign. We cannot, with a potential Champions League, to look at next year, we cannot have the only contracted centre-backs being Manny Fernandez and Clinton Enciala. Because as it stands, Souttar's not put pen to paper on the contract. And being honest, I would be very hesitant to let him sign that contract right now, given the fact that he's now on his second injury of the season. Yeah. Which takes him out for a total period of time of about 2 months.
Yeah. 18 Glasgow Rangers 72 is asking, should a centre back be a priority this window? Sterling, Souttar, unreliable, and the rest don't fill you with confidence. And then obviously we've seen from John Adams, he's asked that same question as well. He's basically saying, I think we need a centre half and don't trust Sobey's fitness and Giga ability. Now, Doug, I'm going to come to Craig and Alan for this one to see on the questions we've got, because I'm going to come to you in a wee minute for your WoW signings. We've got another question here from Paul, which is when we win the league this year. I love that starting point. When we win the league this year, that's tremendous. And we get Champions League groups. Do you think we must get a top-notch keeper? Is Wright and Kelly out of contract in the summer? Obviously, Jack Butland number 1, but he's right. Wright and Kelly are out of contract in the summer. We don't have a reliable number 2. I'm not a big fan of Liam Kelly in terms of his ability. I'm a fan of him in terms of what he brings around the club, but I don't really rate him too highly as a goalkeeper. So, questions, Craig, I'll come to yourself first. Then, Alan, goalkeeper position, as Paul was asking, do you think we need to look at that position in the summer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would say it's definitely going to be one that's on the list, because it may not be cover as well. I mean, Butland has been great this season, but he's also had those howlers in him. We always have that fear that he'll hit a dip as well. So it's not necessarily just bringing in a number 2 goalkeeper. There may be someone out there that becomes the number 1, and Butland's happy to stick around at number 2 and come in and do a damn good job when we've got that. I mean, I don't think I've seen enough of Liam Kelly over time to make a total view, you know, to come up with a total view of him. I don't know if the boys have seen something more, but yeah, I think we've got to.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, what's your take on that? Liam Kelly, is he someone who you think, if he signed a new contract, bearing in mind he is Scottish, so he comes with that Scottish part of the squad and having the Scottish element in there, he helps the numbers on that. Is he the one that could do a really good backup job, whether behind Jack Butland is number 1 or anyone else that could be number 1?
I wouldn't be adverse to Kelly signing a new deal and staying in the place that it is as a number 2. I don't think he's a number 1 Rangers goalkeeper. I think Butland has been good this season, but yes, you can point to Tynecastle and even as recently as says Parkhead, he could have done better with the goal. There has been still moments in him where he's had the mistake. If there is options for a better number 1 out there, I would certainly look at it. I wouldn't say it's as high a priority as other places on the pitch. I think a goalkeeper can be as good as the protection that he's got in front of him. I think sometimes when you look to last season, the way we were shipping goals, and Butland had some clangers in him, but when you look at the defence in front of him, they weren't painting themselves in glory either. You look back to our defence at the start of this season, especially under Martin, if it wasn't for Butland, some of those games could have been, dare I say, even worse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there came up an option for a better number 1 out there, I certainly wouldn't say no. But I don't think it's as priority as, say, a striker or a centre half, or even like another midfielder.
Sure. So just on that then, Doug has said, question for the panel, why do you think everyone has so little faith in our defence or defenders, despite the fact we have the best equal defence in the league? Does the narrative match the evidence? Now, Steve has also said as well, best defence in the league, most clean sheets, prioritise a goal scorer. We've seen in previous comments from everyone, they're talking about goal scorers. Big Shug has said, Butland is honestly builds it big time this season. I honestly think we need a centre-back. So again, back to that centre-back conversation. There's a lot of comments back and forward about centre-backs and whether we should. There's another one's put in, mentioned, just trying to find it, saying Stelling is our best right centre-back and left-back, but he's so unreliable. So I think there's a lot of factors, gents, in the fact that centre-back is a big position for us. Goal scoring is a big position for us. I'll be honest, I'll put my cards on the table for Doug's question. I don't think we should be signing a centre-back in this window. I think we've got enough there at the moment who could take us through. I think we probably need to go into next season with a new centre-back pairing and probably have Fernandez as a backup along that. But Mitch, I'm going to come to you in a wee second and you can answer that question in a wee second. But Craig, what's your thoughts based on what Doug is saying? Does the narrative match the evidence on this one?
Well, it's hard to argue with Doug on that one, in the same way that last year Cyril Dessers incompetently bumbled his way to being the league's top scorer. So what did that say about the rest of them if he was being slagged off? It's a funny thing, and we watch whole games and there are chances, there's mistakes, whatever. Are we getting away with it? Or is that just part of football? And I think we can be quite harsh sometimes. I think we could probably do the scoring more goals. I think then that becomes less of an issue. And I think with the domestic season being the main bit left, I think that's where we need to focus.
Yeah. I think for me, the goal scoring has to be our major priority. I know we got obviously the win at Aberdeen. We've had the win in the cup there just at the weekend. We'll score some good goals in that one. But I don't know how much we can put our trust in Chermiti, Danilo, and Miovski to take us through to the end of the season. I think that's got to be the top priority for me. I think we've got enough centre backs there can cover us, but for me it would be the top end of it. Mitch, I'm going to come to yourself. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to let you answer that question that Doug's put in as well, and then I want to see from yourself, Mitch, if you can, your WoW signing and your reason for it, please, Mitch.
Okay, so I think there's a bit of a problem coming up over this window and the next window for most clubs, not just us. It's a World Cup year. All the good defenders, or I would call it defenders and centre backs that would come to our level just now.
Mm-hmm.
If some of them go on to kick on and have a decent World Cup, they suddenly go from being, let's say, £3 to £5 million just now, to they have the World Cup inflation that's added to that. And I don't think the current owners, obviously with the data-driven model and everything else that they've got, I don't see them allowing themselves to get their pants pulled down, obviously, and overpay for somebody. But equally, in the summer, we're looking at, I think the option to buy Derek Cornelius, all things dependent, as around about the £2.5 million mark. I think it's an issue that we need to be conscious of, just given obviously Souttar's contractual status and everything else. But I think we do probably give our defence overall too much stick. But I also think there's an argument that it's because we know the underbelly of the department isn't that great, because we've seen that John Souttar continues to break down. We know that Nasir Jigger he's so short and confident, it's unreal. And I think this has been the perfect example of, if we went out and bought Jigger for £5 million, we would all be absolutely furious right now. Yeah. But this is also where the loan window comes in handy, where you say, well, I tell you what, let's come up the road. We know that we were never going to buy him, considering, Wolves paid £10 million for him. But it's been one of these loans where you're like, okay, well, next season when Wolves are in the English Championship, which, let's be honest, that's probably where they're heading, barring a minor miracle, he then goes with a full season of British League football under his belt. So that move does Wolves more good than it does us. It's probably the better way of putting it. On the keeper situation, I've had a wee point niggling at me on that one, and I'll make it nice and quick because I'm very conscious we're on the 47 mark. Jack Butland is going to be 34 in March, or 33. Let me just triple check. Let me go back and check my homework. Sorry, 33 in March. Okay. And he's got 18 months left in his contract. There has to be I don't think he's a priority to look at phasing him out, but there needs to start being an honest conversation at that point as well. I look at in the Polish leagues, Andrew, if you're watching somewhere, big shout out to you. We've got Trelowski over there, a young Polish up and coming international, 23-year-old, 6'4", plays for Rakow at the moment, and that's a sort of player that genuinely, if we went out and grabbed him, who he's out of contract in the summer, you go out and grab him now, you let him learn under Jack Butland for a year. I could see us selling him for quite a lot of money down the road. I think horses for courses, but yes, going on to the WoW signing, and I promise it's not Dessers, as much as I would love that. I would have tears of unbridled joy in my life for that. Jonas Wind from Wolfsburg. Jonas Wind. And I promise his brother's no Earth, Wind and Fire. He's 6'4", Danish striker, plays for Wolfsburg. Made the move a couple of years ago. I think problem is we can't make the signing now because I think he's just done his hammy at the weekend, which is unlike him. He's not an injury-prone player, but he's also out of contract in the summer. So I've tried to keep mine a statement signing that would be realistic. But unfortunately, I realised when I done my homework about 5 minutes before the pod started, he'd done his hammy. As fate would have it. But I think he's still one that I would want to maybe even see as an out or a pre-contract, because I think the only way we bring a striker in this window is, and let's call a spade, is if Danilo leaves. I think that's the only way we bring somebody in, is it's got to be a one in, one out policy. But that's where we're at. Stevie, you can take your Kieran Bowie and you can just off you pop back up the road, son.
Mitch, I'm going to be honest. I know nothing about the guy, Jonas Wind, other than the fact that I've just put him into Wikipedia there and he's come up. 31 goals and 111 appearances, it's saying on there for Wolfsburg. Previous team, 36 goals and 88 appearances for Copenhagen. So scoring record is not too bad. Looks quite a good player. Looks as if he could maybe do a turn for us. Look, I will bow to your superior knowledge in this one, Mitch, because I have no idea who this guy is. But I'm certainly going to look him up now that you've recommended him. And same with Joe Pereira. I have no idea about the guy from Leeds. I didn't really have much detail of him other than what I've seen in the press. So that's another one I'm going to look up and see what's going on there. But really good shout.
I will say as well, he fits the current role, bringing in Team Vikingar to the team. With a big 6 foot Dane, and he's pretty quick as well. For a huge guy, covers a lot of ground, big, athletic, and I think he's the sort of player that would come across to the SPFL and just take the absolute mickey out of the league.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, gents, I'm conscious we're going to start having somebody chapping the door and telling us to get off very shortly, so we will try and bring this to a closure. I'd said at the start of the pod, obviously we try and answer every question we can. I think I've got through every question that people have asked, just looking to the comments, so thank you guys for putting all the comments in. It is greatly appreciated. Obviously looking ahead really quickly to tomorrow, guys, it's a big game, as we said at the start of the pod. Rangers versus Ludogorets, chance to keep the coefficient high in the event. As Paul said earlier on, we do win the league this season. I think that'd be good. I'm also going to say Paul has just come in and stolen what I would have said for my wife saying, and I'm not going to get into the detail, but Joey Veerman would have been the one for me, and I absolutely spot on agree with that one. I think he would have been the one that we could have, or he's the one I think we've lost out on big time. I think he'd have been a cracking signing for us. So good shout on that one, Paul. Craig, want to come to yourself for tomorrow night? What is your score prediction, and even maybe a wee first goal scorer if you can, please, mate?
I have been on loads of Wednesday pods this year and been asked this question. This is the first one where I'm confidently thinking we can win it. So I'm going to go 2-0, and I'm going to go with Trimidi to get the goal.
Brilliant. Love it. I think that's a great shout. I think it is. I think it's a good one. Alan, what about yourself? Goal scorer and score prediction, please, mate.
I would say 2-0 as well, but I'll go Miovski just because I don't think Trimidi will start. I think he'll keep Trimidi for the league.
Fair enough. Maybe I have Miovski in the start, first half.
Aye, so
maybe a good shout for that one.
2-0 Miovski, I would go for.
Paul saying Terminator, 2-0 in Asgard, which would be a good one. I like that Terminator. I think that's a good one. I think that's really good. 2-0 seems to be a bit of a popular score there. Craig, Alan, and Paul all saying that. Mitch, what's your thoughts on the score for tomorrow?
Just going to make it awkward now and just go for 3-0 with the human fridge freezer, the leaping salmon himself, Manny Fernandez, coming in at the box.
Amazing. Sounds really good. Sounds great. Folks, for everyone that's watching, please put into our comments, into our socials, what you think the score will be. There'll be lots more to come through on that over the course of tomorrow in terms of our pre-match show and some of the stuff across our social media channels. Alan is saying Ant-Man hat-trick. Wow. I would love to have an Alan's having tonight. I really would. Paul saying, keep a clean sheet, no injuries. Absolutely agree. Mitch, as you've said, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It would be really much appreciated. And the final comment I'm going to bring up tonight is this: Mitch dressed like man in old milk tree advert, only he all the chocolates people delivering. Love
Cheers,
that. That's got to be the comment of the night.
The milk tree man hits
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Gents, it's been a pleasure. Look, this is flown by. I know when I host these, we're normally on for about an hour and a half. So apologies, we're not on for that tonight. But it's been fantastic. It's been a really good show. I think while signing some of the names he's put across, it's obvious our viewers are agreeing with these. Apart from Mitch, I don't think anyone knew who you were talking about, but we'll go with it. Craig, it's been fantastic to be on with you. This is my first time on with you, and it's been great. So thank you for coming on. Hope you enjoyed it, mate, and we hope to get to see you again soon, mate.
Loved it, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Mitch,
loved it.
As always, thank you, Mitch. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Always a pleasure, and it's great to be back to get the band back together with Craig.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Al, I know you had some troubles with your phone earlier on. Hopefully, no troubles for you going forward, mate. Looking forward to the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, I am. I know, like you were saying, it's apparently a dead rubber because we can't go anywhere, but it should never be a dead rubber with Rangers in Europe. No, I want the 3 points. So
Absolutely.
Hopefully we get it.
Absolutely agree. Thanks for coming on, mate. Great to have you as always. And look, last thanks has to go to two people. Pod sponsors Bluebell Bars, Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. Thank you to you guys as always for your support to the pod. It's greatly appreciated. And thanks to everyone that's commented, that's come on and viewed, liked, subscribed, shared, done all the usual stuff. And we don't do this without you guys, as I always say every week. And the most important people here are you guys who come and watch this and put the comments in, put the questions to the guys. It is absolutely appreciated by us all here. So thank you everyone for joining in tonight. Big night for Rangers tomorrow. It's a big week this week coming up. Games are coming thick and fast after this, so let's hope Rangers can keep the good news stories going, and we can keep the hype building for another few weeks yet before the potential inevitable letdown at some point that's going to happen, and we all lose our rubbish on that. But hopefully not tomorrow night. Hopefully tomorrow night will be a good one. Looking forward to it. There will be a pre-match show and there'll be a post-match show. I think I'm on the post-match show tomorrow, so if you don't want to see me, then just avoid that one. But if you do want to see me, then come in and see that. But I'm on with some great guys, and there'll be some great stuff going through our socials all day tomorrow, folks. Thank you, everyone. Again, it is an absolute pleasure to be on here. I nearly messed this up last week. I nearly said that my name was Mitch. My name is Chris. This has been the Rangers Journal. Just remember, folks, every night is the Rangers Journal night. Good night and thank you.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.